The story of the woman who came and anointed Jesus. Let me start here about verse 3. Chapter 14, verse 3. Jesus was at Bethany, a guest of Simon the leper. While he was eating dinner, a woman came up, carrying a bottle of very expensive perfume. Opening the bottle, she poured it on his head. Some of the guests became furious among themselves. "That's criminal, a sheer waste. This perfume could have been sold for well over a year's wages and handed out to the poor." They swelled up in anger, nearly bursting with indignation over her. So I want to stop reading there because something that caught my attention. And, the rest of the story is Jesus said, "No, this woman has done something very special for me." She was anointing him, preparing him for his death. And Jesus said, "The poor are always going to be here. You're always going to be able to help the poor, but I'm not always going to be here." And she's done something very special. But what caught my attention this time when I read the story is that the response of the people when this woman did that was that they were very angry. But why were they angry? They weren't angry because she wasted the perfume because it could have been sold and they could have done something for themselves with the money. But they were actually angry because they wanted to help the poor. They wanted to help the poor so badly that they would have foregone the money, a year's wages. They wouldn't have taken it for themselves, but they said, "We could have helped the poor with this." Now, the Bible doesn't tell me whether or not that was their true intentions or not, but I'm just going to say that for this instance, let's say that they were telling the truth. That's really what they wanted to do, was to help the poor. So that's what I noticed, was that these people were close to Jesus. And being close to Jesus had caused them to care more about others and care more about the needy than they cared for themselves. They didn't say, "We could have sold the perfume and bought ourselves clothes or food, or bought ourselves a new house," or whatever they could have done with a year's wages. They weren't thinking about themselves. They were thinking about what they could do to help the poor. And that's what being close to Jesus and being a follower of Jesus had done to them. And it made them not look at themselves, but to look at others. And that's not something that's normal for us. And most of the time our first concern is ourselves and what we can do to improve our own situation. But when we're close to Jesus, if we're following him and want to be like him, then what we should see is caring more for other people and concern for what we can do for other people. So I thought that was an interesting response that those people had back in Jesus' day, just because they were close to him and followed him.